June 4th, 2024 at 6 p.m. a call for order. Please join. Please, sorry for that. Please join me for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Aliaga.
Here.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Brown.
Here.
Trustee Morocco.
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu. Here. Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
And Trustee Tedder is absent this evening. We have a quorum.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda by removing item L, regular business number 2.
Support.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we approve the agenda. We remove one item, so it's good. Okay, board and public announcements. Any board members that would like to? Just, okay, no, it's about board public announcements for the board members. Anyone that would like to address? Carrie?
I have a couple, as usual. As I mentioned last meeting, that the early voting will start on July 27th. That's our 9 days of early voting. That will be at Brady Lodge and also at the Waterford Oaks Civics, or the Waterford Oaks County Park. More information on the times and the location addresses will be on our website. My office recently mailed out applications to those on our permanent absentee voter list. Those have begun to come back in, and we're getting ready to process those. The application or the ballots are due to be mailed out on Tuesday, June 25th in the afternoon. That's what I'm slotting for. Do my best to get it out. That's also always dependent on us getting the ballots on time from the printer. And lastly, I want to announce that the Clarkston Family Farm will have their 3rd annual chicken run. That's going to be on Saturday, June 15th. Check-in begins at 8 and the race starts at 9. And that's all I have.
Okay. Sam?
I have a question for Carrie for another announcement possibly. Can you verify when the candidates can put their signs up? People keep asking me and I wasn't clear on the days. That changed, and if you could clarify that for people.
I can tell you that, I believe, is June 25th, the same day that the ballots are slotted to go out.
Okay.
June 25th.
Good question.
Excuse me, can you increase the volume here, because it's a little hard, I'm not that far away, and I
Oh.
need to hear from each one of you.
Maybe we can be close to the microphone, I guess.
Well,
Is there a
I think Elke
technician
can
that
hear
can
that.
Okay.
He
increase
can turn it up.
volume?
Okay. John, can you turn the volume?
You did it at the beginning, didn't you?
Okay.
Squeal.
All right, but, okay, I'll be trying to be more.
I
Sorry.
appreciate it.
Sure,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Public comments, any individual, anyone in the public that would like to come to the stage, to the podium, state your name and address, would like to address, sure, anyone, state your name and address. Okay, it's public comments, so,
Yep, it
okay,
is.
all right.
Linda Bazone, 7925 Foster Road. In recent board meetings, board members have shared concerns and have brought attention to the fact that current board members running for re-election should not be using tax dollars to promote themselves and using tax dollars to get the upper hand. As Sam stated in the last meeting, in an election year, nobody should be self-promoting. I agree with Sam, but it must be done equally across the board. On May 23rd, 24, the township released a YouTube video titled "The Township, the Clerk's Office," and it's beautifully done. No complaints about that. In the details, it states, join Carrie Newbeck, Deputy Clerk, Courtney Winfried, and Administrative Department Aide Suzette Page as they walk through the clerk's office at Independence Township and detail how law changes in 2022 affected elections moving forward. Unfortunately, the first 53 seconds of the video is a self-promotion of Carrie Newbeck as clerk. And as we know, she's running for re-election. This 53-second self-promotion is paid with tax dollars. I understand why it was done this way, as I also saw the video for the assessment office, and it has a very similar outline. But I am suggesting, in the spirit of fairness to all the candidates running against Ms. Newbeck, that the 53 seconds be removed until after the election. The first 53 seconds provide no value as to how the law changes in 2022 affected elections moving forward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Hi, everyone. Mark Pedersen, 6716 Almond Lane. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
All right.
Good, happy, good day, right?
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of the board meetings, and I'd say it's pretty rare for a former township board member like myself to come up here and stand and speak to you. It's even more rare for a township supervisor to come up here and speak disparagingly at all about an employee, township board members, or anything about the township. That's not what good leaders do, especially if at some time it was under your charge to fix. That said, I see a lot of people come up here and give their prosecutorial ways to each and every one of you. Now, I'm not here sticking up for any one of you, but I want some of the public to understand that nobody that I've ever met has ever changed their mind or their ways because they were called enough names or talked about disparagingly, or in a lot of cases being prosecuted as you sit there and you had no knowledge of it. I don't think that's right, and I think the communication between the public and the board and to the public, we need to try and be nicer to each other, be a little bit more reasonable. You see, there has to be a mutual respect between board members and the public when they meet. We have to treat each other respectfully, professionally at all times. You don't get anywhere by coming up here and pounding the podium. It doesn't work for me, and it never has. I've been here for 61 years, and I've seen all the former township great leaders, and never once would you see them come up here and see some of the things that I've seen said by former board members. For instance, you would never catch Tink Ronk standing up here saying anything bad about the township. I think the idea is some people have residents first and stuff like that, and I understand that, and I agree. However, when these board members walk through that door, they have a resident hat on. And when they sit down at that board, they put a trustee hat on. They can't do what's good for them. They have to do what's the best for the township as a whole and benefit the township in that way. And when they walk back out the door, they can put their resident hat back on. Anyway, I guess my plea to the public and to some board members, let's try and be a little bit nicer to each other and treat each other a little bit more professionally and accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Anyone else? Sure. Please state your name and address.
Hi, good evening. I'm Julie Pollock. I'm a Lake Orion resident, actually. Does that matter? 1906 Indian Wood.
Sure.
The reason I'm here is I'm the president of the Greater Oakland Republican Group, and thank you for your service. As the gentleman just said, sometimes this can be a very thankless job, so thank you for taking your time to do what you're doing for your community. And thank you, Jose. I'm here to really support you in your candidacy here as well. I know that, you guys are doing the things. You're going to the events. You're promoting all of the community events that you can and really trying to be supportive. So just wanted to say thank you very much for your service, and we're behind you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. We're moving on then. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We don't have a public hearing. We have a presentations and report. We have a proclamation recognizing Independence Television. Carrie, you're gonna present that proclamation?
Okay, I think if Independence Television can come forward, and I'll share the proclamation. If you'd like, maybe I'll have John Elke introduce his staff, and so everybody gets a name with a face.
Hi, thank you all very much for having us today. As you guys know, my name is John Elke, Independence Television Station Manager. Bringing with me today is the staff of Independence Television, just a small fraction of it, but I thought it was important to bring the many faces that are behind this organization. You know, a lot of you see me setting up meetings and everything like that. You might not see the other people that put together all of the great work that we do, so I wanted to make sure that they're introduced to the board here. We have Matt Blow, who some of you might recognize. He's a township employee for a number of years. Matt's actually been with Independence Television for over 10 years now in one manner or another, so he's really been on the ground floor with a lot of what we're doing and helped lay the foundation for a lot of what we've been able to accomplish at this time. We have Michael Rosenkrantz. He's entering his senior year at Central Michigan University. Michael started at the media program here at the high school, kind of got a bug for sports announcing, and is continuing his love for sports announcing by furthering his education at Central Michigan University, but still works with us part-time in the summertime when he comes home for summer vacation. And lastly, we have Matt Legato in the back there. Matt's been with Independence Television for a very long time as our production coordinator. He does a lot of our meetings, does a lot of events. He actually just got back from a ribbon cutting just moments ago, so he's you know, the guy that kind of does it all behind the scenes. So this is our staff that was able to join us tonight. We had some people that were not able to join us due to some conflicts, but just some of the members that help put together all the stuff that you guys see day in and day out, from meeting coverage, Board of Education coverage, graduation from last night, ribbon cuttings, event coverage. We do it all, and it's with the help of these wonderful people. So this is who we are.
I'd like to read the following proclamation for Independence Television. Whereas on May 16th, 2024, Independence Television, representing Independence Township, the city of the Village of Clarkston, and Springfield Township, was honored with the prestigious 2024 Hometown Media Award by the Alliance for Community Media Foundation, as whereas the Hometown Media Awards, established to celebrate and promote community media, community radio, and local cable programs distribute on a public, educational, and governmental access cable television channels, recognize outstanding contributions to the field. And whereas Independence Television, dedicated to excellence in serving our community through public, education, and government broadcasting, has been duly acknowledged on a national scale for the first time since its inception in 2013. And whereas the staff of Independence Television, under the leadership of station manager John Elke, has demonstrated unparalleled commitment and talent in delivering a diverse range of local events, meetings, and sports to the residents of Independence Township and neighboring areas, often sacrificing personal time and holidays to fulfill their mission. And whereas Hometown Media Awards, judged by a panel of over 150 industry experts, celebrate creativity, community engagement, and innovation in television programming, recognizing those who challenge conventional formats and inspire viewers to perceive television in a new light. And now therefore be it proclaimed that the Charter Township of Independence Board of Trustees hereby extends its sincerest congratulations to Independence Television for their remarkable achievement in receiving the 2024 Hometown Media Award. We commend their unwavering dedication to community service, their commitment to fostering diverse representation, and their innovative approach to media production. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you all very much for your time and opportunity. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
would you like a picture?
Oh, sure. Always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good idea.
That's what they do.
You want to come down? Wanna go down?
He's right here in the front. What's he want, 8 by 10?
I don't know if you guys want it.
Yeah. My head.
Take with the flags in the background.
Yeah, we'll get you guys flags. We don't need that then. Maybe over here a little bit.
Yeah, put a flag there.
Maybe just scoot a little bit, because I don't want that screen behind you. I'd rather
They're used to directing, not being directed.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay. Next, we have a presentation of our financial audit 2023. Please come to the podium and state your name.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Alan Panter. Can you hear me all right? And I'm a partner at Yo and Yo, here to present the audit. I'd also like you to know that I am a resident of Independence Township, and I am also a township appointee to the Board of Clarkston Independence District Library. So those are my two little things I'd like to throw in on a personal note. The materials that you have are the bound annual comprehensive financial report. I'll sometimes refer to that by the acronym of ACFR, ACFR. That is basically the audit. You will also see that you've been distributed the governance letter. That's a stapled letter that comes with the audit, is distributed, it's addressed to the Township Board and Management. And also my presentation, which you'll see on the screen, but you also have a copy for your own reference. The audit went well this year. It was our first year as auditors for Independence Township, and we did have a couple of difficulties, but nothing that we couldn't handle. Most of the information was provided when we requested it, and we were able to complete our procedures efficiently. We'd like to thank everyone that we worked with, especially Linda Vance and her team, as well as the rest of the team led by Clerk Newbeck and Treasurer Brown. So we really appreciate all the assistance that we received and everyone's hard work. There's a lot that goes into preparing for an audit, dealing with us during field work, reviewing the financial statements afterwards, and everything that goes into that. So that's very much to be commended, the efforts that everyone put in getting this job done. Our audit included an examination of the financial reporting process, internal controls, and certain aspects of legal compliance as well. There's certain things that the state wants us to do in terms of compliance to determine that the township either did or didn't follow certain aspects of state law. When we note certain matters, it is our responsibility to communicate those in writing. Based on that consideration, we do have one audit finding to discuss today, and I plan to get through that as I go through the slides this evening. So my plan for this evening is to discuss the audit, our deliverables, and also to touch on the financial statements, the governance letter, and to answer any questions you have. And I will follow the presentation that you see on the screen and in front of you during my presentation this evening. So how do we advance the slides? Can I do that? Oh, down below here. I got you. Okay. Got it. All right. The first slide discusses the independent auditor's report. The purpose of an audit is to give you an opinion on your financial statements, not to detect fraud and not to give assurance on internal control. So it's a very important concept about what it is that we're here to do. We're here to give you an opinion on your financial statements, which is what you see referenced here. So we're giving what's called an unmodified or clean opinion. That is the best opinion you can get. And it means a couple of things. It means, first of all, the statements are formatted in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So in other words, everything that's supposed to be in the statements is there. And also, based on the procedures that we perform, the numbers are good. So unmodified opinion is definitely what you want to see. Okay? The next few graphs are, our next few slides are some graphs that we put together that discusses some very high-level financial activity of the township. And I just want to touch on these to give you a flavor. I know you receive financial reporting on a regular basis. I'm not trying to replace her, but just supplement that a little bit from my perspective and from the perspective of the audit. So this first slide is, it focuses on the general fund, on the revenues, expenditures, and fund balance. It's a very high-level slide over a 5-year period. So as you can see, the revenues have been trending upwards. It's the blue bar. Revenues have been trending upward, but so have the expenditures. The fund balance has also risen for each year on the graph. So now the fund balance sits at about $12.9 million. which is about 120% of annual expenditures. We usually recommend a minimum of 15 to 20% for just operating and cash flow purposes. So any excess above that 15 to 20% really just depends on what your plans are for that money, whether you're saving that for a large capital project, it depends on your outlook in terms of the economic climate, how much you think is appropriate that way. So there's a lot of different reasons that you might have, fund balance at the level where you do. All right, next slide is, so the next two slides are going to dig into the revenues and the expenditures in the general fund. So what we did here is we took the revenues, and each year we broke down a 5-year history, so you can see kind of trends in how the revenues have gone in the last 5 years. So this is, again, just the general fund, and you can see that the property tax revenue has trended upwards with the assessed valuation in the township. Intergovernmental revenue is the largest source of revenue, so that's mostly state shared revenue. There are some federal dollars in there as well, but you can see that that has gone up significantly in the last couple of years as the state has increased its commitment to funding local government. You can also see charges for services are a significant source of revenue for the township, and also there's other. So that's basically the way we did this graph, was everything else. But you can see that's up significantly this year, and that's due to it's a very good investment income this year. The next slide concentrates on the expenditures of the general fund. And as you can see, the format of the graph is just the same as the previous one. You can see that the largest areas of expenditure in the general fund are general government. Now that's your core township services, such as the board, the supervisor, the treasurer, the clerk, and all those sorts of things, elections, all those sorts of things is all in there. And there's also recreation and culture, so that's the amount that you're spending on parks that's there. There's public safety, public works, and then basically everything else is aggregated into that transfers and other there. All right, the next two graphs deal with the first the water fund, then the sewer fund, and so they're very similar in format. So I'll kind of go over that first in the water fund, and then we'll move on to the sewer. So the next two, I like to use graphs like this to evaluate, because these funds are intended to be self-supporting through user charges. So I think it's important to look at these funds over a long period of time as you try to manage them, and of course everything that you do in terms of managing these at this level really gets back to the rates, okay? So you're really trying to look at this and discern whether the appropriate rates are being charged is really at the end of the day what you're after. So I'm looking at a few things here. The first thing is that the blue bar there is the revenues, and the white kind of gray bar there is the expenses of the fund. You can see that every year the revenues exceed the expenses, which means you're generating operating income out of the water fund. Okay, that's a good thing for the continued and future, viability of the water system. So you have to have that fund balance on hand, because you know you're going to have to replace that water system in pieces over a long period of time. If you don't have the money on hand, your only alternative is to issue debt for that. So it's a best practice to have enough to be able to fund those improvements in-house. The other thing that I take away from this is you see the taller tan bars there. That's the investment in capital. So basically what that is how much your system costs minus depreciation minus any debt that's against it. So you can see that bar is up near $25 million, and that's quite a bit more than what the system brings in on an annual basis. So, and the other thing that I take out of that is that that's trending upwards as well, which tells me that your continued investment in the water system is exceeding the amount of depreciation that goes on an annual basis. So you're continuing to plow money into the water system, as this demonstrates. So that's a good thing. The last thing is the unrestricted net position, which is the orange bar, and that's basically that's your fund balance. That's what's left over, and you can see that is in excess of your annual expenditures. I should say expenses in this context. But that's a positive number. So all in all, I'm going to say that this fund looks like it's in pretty good shape. All right, the next graph, sewer fund, and this will be much quicker because I already explained the format of the graph here. You can see that the investment in capital, show you where I'm going. The investment in capital is, it's actually trending down a tiny bit, but I don't find that to be a concern. But it is, up there in terms of its comparison to the fund balance and the revenues and expenses, so that's a good thing as well. You can also see here that in the sewer fund, the revenues do exceed the expenses each year. So again, that's operating income on those user charges, and that's important to funding the long-term viability of the system. So, and you can also see here in the sewer fund, your net position is higher than it is in the water fund. Even though it looks pretty good in the water fund, it looks even better here in the sewer fund. So, again, I'd say this fund looks pretty good. All right, one more slide, and I'm almost done. Okay, so I'd like to turn my attention to the governance letter. That is the stapled letter that was distributed with the audit. That's a required communication. We issue a letter similar to that with every audit that we do. It discusses the timing and scope of the audit. It discusses a lot of things about the audit. It's mostly a form letter unless there are deviations from the norm, and this would be where we communicate that. There was a new GASB standard that was issued this year and adopted by the township, so that was indicated in the letter. It indicates significant estimates. It indicates risks that we identified, so that's an important part of auditing is we identify risks and we design our procedures to address those risks. It talks about corrected and uncorrected misstatements, so anything that we found wrong and whether or not it was corrected. And it also gets into internal control matters. So as I alluded to before at the beginning of my presentation, we did have one finding. We called it a significant deficiency. That's a pretty intimidating term, but I have another one called material weakness that's even worse. So what I want you to take away from that is a significant deficiency is a condition in internal control that's important enough for us to communicate it to the board, so for you to know about it. But it's not as significant as what I would call a material weakness. So that's a very intimidating term, but it is less severe than a material weakness. And this had to do with bank reconciliations and year-end closing procedures. One of the things that we do during our audit is we look at bank reconciliations. The state wants us to look and make sure that bank reconciliations are being done on a timely basis. The township did experience some turnover this year in some key positions in both the treasurer's and the clerk's office where those reconciliations got behind. And the year-end reconciliations were completed just before audit. So we came out for audit in April, and those reconciliations didn't get done right on time. I would recommend that those get done within a month within each month end. And also the property tax reconciliations did not get submitted to us until after audit field work. So that caused a little bit of disruption to the team. And we had to push pretty hard to make the deadline that I'm here satisfying. So in any event, I wanted to communicate that for your information. I am aware that the township has filled those positions that turned over and the learning curves that were involved with those employees. That's something that they're working on. I'm aware of that, but it is our responsibility to communicate that when we do see it. If you have any questions, that's all I have.
Any questions from board members? No? Thank you.
Thanks for your work.
Good work, thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it.
So,
We'll just,
Oh,
sure.
Paul, you got a question?
yeah, I do like to kind of weigh in. Certainly, the issues, and the clerk and I have spent quite a bit of time looking at this. We had many conversations with the auditors. And I think the board deserves a little bit more detailed explanation of what this entails. And so, if you're good with that, I'll
Yeah, go
throw it out there.
Thank you.
10 years ago, and I think the problems we have less to do with the new employees than they do with what I'm about to explain. 10 years ago, we started taking transactions for payments electronically. We started to push that. Prior to that, we would have stacks of checks, and we'd be opening them with an opener and doing it that way. So over the past 10 years, the volume that we now take in electronic payments, especially when utility bills are due, went from a tiny number to, in this past May, a deposit or a small group of deposits totaling almost $430,000 and over 2,000 transactions. So that was not so hard to post those. And the process for doing that, we're able to post the transactions electronically. It's a data file, and we import it in. And we then have to match up those transactions in the Treasurer's Department and group them together to match the deposits that are hitting the bank from we have third parties that process these payments. Well, depending on the type of credit card it is, whether it's a bank ACH payment that was made by the customer, American Express always takes longer, the time of day that people process the transaction, it's suddenly over the past, I want to say 6 or 7 months, going back into last year, started becoming harder and harder to match up the electronic import we did of $400,000 with the deposits that were matched to it. And it was a lot of pain to go through that with the team, big spreadsheets figuring out, because you'd have multiple deposits, but multiple imports, and they would cross over. And so the solution really was fairly simple to correct this problem. We stopped importing the file until we had the bank deposits and knew what the amount was. We have the ability to go into our third-party vendor and export that data and use a certain amount of care when exporting to know that, for example, I'm not going to import the American Express. That's going to get done separately because it's never the same timing as Visa or MasterCard, and those aren't the same timing as people paying ACH out of their bank. So by waiting for the deposit to hit the bank, then my staff imports the transactions. When you go to do the matchup and create what we call deposit creation in our ERP system, it's like that. So in May, the $400,000 posting, she had done, I think it hit the bank on the 27th, and she had everything tied out on the 29th. We were taking a month to try and figure some of those out, along with doing our other duties. To me, that's going to solve the big problem with the bank reconciliations. And I also want to point out that the bank reconciliations, while they weren't completed, we knew what the problem was. So we knew all the checks had cleared. We knew, all the deposits had cleared or were in the bank. Our problem was getting the data from our electronic transactions matching up with those deposits. And so we really struggled with it. And we did have new people. But really, the volume of the electronic transactions, changing the process, we think has now solved the problem. So this won't be the issue in the future. And so I thought the board should hear that and understand it. And I don't know if Carrie wants to, actually, at Carrie's suggestion, because once the treasurer's office matches up the deposit information relative to the cash receiving transactions and what hit the bank, it's now time for the finance department to take over, because that's the check and balance. They're the ones who do the bank reconciliations, make sure what we've done is accurate. We're now meeting around the 5th business day of every month to discuss the prior month's reconciliations, figure out if there's more things we need to change, or if the process doesn't quite work the way we want it to. And so we're confident with that, in addition to changing the process, that we'll have this tackled and not have issues going forward.
Agreed.
Thank you, Paul.
Well stated. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thanks, Alice.
Thank you.
All right, welcome.
We don't have a carryover or postpone. Oh, no, we don't. And then consent agenda. Request to approve the Board of Trustees regular closed session minutes on May 21st, 2024. Request to approve the May 28, 2024 check run, including the ACH of $1,014,343.39, and ratify the May 24, 2024 payroll of $344,774.38. 3, request to approve the 2024 budget amendment, number 18, pull unspent 2023 funds into 2024 for the Deer Lake Beach and Restoration Project. 4, request to approve the 2024 fireworks display permit for Lake Orkland Fireworks Fund American Legion Post. Number 5, request to approve the out-of-state travel for Independence Television Station Manager. I need a motion to
I'll
approve.
make
the-
a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Regular business. Adam, can you come to the podium, please? Adam is our Parks and Recreation Director. And,
Thank you.
mhm,
As you might remember, back in February, we were before the board explaining our pilot program with NODA and county for providing transportation. At that time, the board had made a motion that we obtain a separate agreement with the North Oakland Transportation Authority, wherein the pilot program terms, representations, and promises, services, and funding set forth the greater specify and with help from the Kelly firm. So that's what I'm here to present today. We've got the memorandum of understanding. It's in your packet. I'm just here requesting that you approve the memorandum, or if there are any changes that you think need to be made, or any explanations that I can give that might not be clear in the memorandum. Also have Eli and Lynn from NODA and Eli from the county in case you have any questions that I might not be able to answer.
okay, thank you, Adam. Any board members have any questions, comments? Trustee Morocco?
Adam, could you, I know that you guys you've done a preliminary survey with the residents that have used it. Could you, do you have that information handy on how well it's gone and what the feedback has been from the initial survey that was sent out?
Yeah, so in the MOU, we noticed we sent one out at the 3-month mark. We're still in that process. Those questions are part of surveys in the packet. However, preliminarily, I will say that it has been rather, I guess, overall excellent responses. And I do have some additional comments that Lynn had forwarded me, that people that are sending in emails, not necessarily filling out the survey, but those have all been good also. I can show them to you. I just have the one copy.
There is a note in the memorandum that asked if the board wanted to participate in the list or reviewing of the questions that are being asked. I know that you guys already generated your own list through the parks, and do you feel comfortable that that list of questions covers the gamut to get a good feel for the
Yes, I
service
worked
being
with,
provided?
Yeah, I worked with Lisa and Jennifer, actually did most of the heavy lifting on those questions. They felt that they would be representative of what we would need to present to you to get a fair representation from the riders.
Okay. And the last survey, and when is that scheduled to go out? If the trial period's on September 1st, so when are we gonna, what, do you have a target date?
Yeah, I believe it would be prior to, just prior to that, so we can get the information back. I had talked to Lisa today, and of course, we would run it through you guys. If they were that positive near the end, do we need to do a second one? I know the second one isn't in the MOU. I know Jennifer brought it up, and it's usually a good idea to close it out. But if they're all overwhelmingly positive, and of course, we're gonna put together some charts and how the responses come through. We're gonna do like a Survey Monkey is what Lisa explained to me. We're gonna do that so we can present it to you, whether we wanted to do another one or not, if they're all pretty high.
Okay, and I have heard great reviews have come back, and the extended distances have been positive, and that the use has been good. So I haven't heard anything negative about it, and I have been
haven't yet.
inquiring, so that's good. There was a couple things that were mentioned in here about whether there was storing of their vehicles once the, is that all gonna be worked out when we get to the end of the trial period of them using Clintonwood Park for their vehicles and access and equipment storage and stuff like that?
When you say, maybe I misheard you, when you say worked out, what?
Like, if after the trial period, I was reading in here, there was a little bit of a discussion, notes of them using our property to store their vehicles, using this as a staging area at
Correct.
Clintonwood Park and stuff, and if there was gonna be a fee involved with that, or if that's been negotiated, if that's something the board gets involved with,
It
or,
can be negotiated. I know that I've talked to Lynn and Eli about that and what other municipalities are doing, and I don't know if Eli wants to back me up, but it was pretty much, if it's a leasing opportunity, if it was really dependent on if it was a private company or another public entity, that sometimes in other instances, there's only $1 charge, or something very similar to how we lease maybe Deer Lake Beach, that kind of thing for the parking. And then as far as the space, I know we've talked about some numbers. We don't have it quite put together. I know Lynn's done some research on like how much office space would be in this particular area, things like that.
That's kind of what I'm, like, would they need access to our facility for their drivers outside the hours of our senior center being built? And would that be in the carriage house or in the maintenance building?
They're at the not even at the carriage house. They share space now with the Rangers.
Okay, in the building behind the
Yeah,
carriage
in the
house?
building behind.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they have their own entrance sort of in the garage door. They just open the garage door and they have a desk. And that's,
Okay.
it's
And then-
not a lot of space, radios they
Okay.
have in there.
Because they're now gonna be part of, accessing our park and doing stuff, so I just kind of wanted to know. And didn't I hear that most of our drivers that wanted to were picked up by Notif
Yes.
during their contracts?
Yes.
And I still understand they're pretty happy.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually talked to some of the drivers, that most of it are working in NODA, and they're very happy with working.
And we do
for
have the
NODA,
gate
yes.
installed,
Yeah.
the electric
Right.
gate that lets them in and out
Okay.
after hours when no park personnel are there. Although I believe that's a rarity now, because I think end time is, what time do you stop transportation? 9 p.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times we're still in the park and the gate's still open.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And by the way, Sam, I talked to a lot of the seniors that are utilizing the service, and they are very happy as well. I agree with you. They're very happy with the services and everything, so it seems like it's working really well right now at this point.
Preliminary
Yeah.
results, yes.
Yeah, Ron, Trustee Richie, sir.
I guess, I don't know, is NODA are you guys gonna speak tonight? Because I guess one of my questions was, we have this
Sure. I mean,
memorandum, but
Eli,
nobody said whether they even agree with it or not.
Sure, of course. No, no problem, yes. Eli, if you don't mind, please. Thank you, Trustee Richie.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, NODA is in approval of the memo of understanding. I think that we've been working really well together with the Independence Township team, and I think that it's, that we're all in line with, right now we have 10 vehicles that are parked over at the park, and it's been working out really well, and I think, and we're all in agreement with the memo of understanding. Is there a specific question you have with it? or-
Well, I guess one of my questions was, going over time, do you guys keep records or statistics of like how many people you pick up and
Yes, yes,
what
we
the
sure do.
distances are and all that type of stuff? I mean, is that something that's gonna be available for the
Absolutely.
public to review?
We
as
do.
well?
I just today compared March 1st is when we started, so I compared March, April, and May, which is 3 months. Teresa Gordon gave me the ride numbers from last year. For those 3 months, it was 2,734 as far as rides, and the 3 months that we've done this year is 5,339, so it's up 95%. So we have, and we're going longer distances, so we're taking people further than where they were going previously. We're also giving them service on the weekends and in the evenings and earlier. So, so far we've been.
Do you plan to
Happy.
continue on maintaining the statistics though, so we can see it over time? too?
We do. We send the monthly reports to the team right now. So each month I send them a monthly report with all of the rider data, like where they're going to and where they're going from, the numbers, and comments that we're receiving.
Is that something that's going to be in our monthly communication, or is it going to be online someplace? Or?
Sure, Adam, can we get the the information available to the board members?
Yes, I haven't looked at it
Mhm.
to see what actually is on there. I just got it
Mhm.
today, so we can look on it to make sure it's available or appropriate for public consumption. I'm sure the
Right.
numbers are, just make
Yeah.
sure names and stuff are all.
Right, if you have to redact it or whatever.
Yeah, that will be very helpful.
Yeah.
Sure, thank you. Trustee Alamatu?
That was gonna be some of my questions, as far as the reporting goes. So when September comes, I'd like to not only just see where they're going and how many riders, but in relation to the drivers and how many buses. You might have a lot of people doing the same route, so if 10 get on one bus and that guy has a busy route, but you have another driver doing nothing, I guess I'd like to make sure that the money's being used appropriately to the people that are hired to drive those buses as well,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask the board, the publishing, where is it that you'd like it to this be published? In this during the pilot, then after the pilot? I would assume that it would still be on NODA website, or you want that information on, let's say, parks or?
If it's on a website someplace that we can access, that's fine. We just, I guess, need to be notified of where it's at so we can get to it.
Okay,
But, we, like in our board packets at the end, there's always communication like from the DPW or the building department or the police or fire department. They'll submit like monthly reports or whatever too, so you can
Okay.
do that just for general communication, so.
sure.
Okay. Clerk Newbeck?
I was just gonna say, maybe send this quarter's report that she's got, and then we can add it to the next agenda.
Yeah, yes,
So then the public can see that as well.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other spots,
No.
like?
No,
not the
because
Parks
the
and
board
Rec?
will have access to that as well, so we'll just hit everybody, the board and the public, all with the packet that way.
Okay,
Sounds good to
Thanks,
me.
Adam.
yep,
Thanks,
you.
Adam.
sure. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, no, we're good. Somebody would like to make a motion?
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the memorandum of understanding between North Oakland Transportation Authority, NODA, and the Charter Township of Independence, and authorize the township supervisor to execute the same.
A second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you. So we have Dave, please. Dave McKee, our DPW Director.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Where's John at? Take two. Good evening, everyone. Forgot my specs. The agenda item for you tonight is the removal and replacement of some safety path on Sashbaugh between Maybe and Pelton. In your board packet, you can see that it's pretty rough shape. So one of the things that we did a few years ago is start squirreling away some money budget-wise for repairs. We need to maintain and take care of what we've built and not, continue to build new stuff. We also got to look backwards and take care of what we've built to make sure it's in good shape. So in this project right here, that we're going to replace approximately, I think it was 2,500 feet of broken and heaved asphalt, and it's blacktop. So we're going to tear that out, replace that with concrete. It's a lot more durable. It's going to last a long time, and quite frankly, it's going to look better for a long time. We did budget money for this, as I mentioned, in the 2024 Safety Path budget, and we are here to utilize our competitively bid contractor, Italia Contracting, Washington Township, they do fantastic work. They're doing a job for us right now on Dixie Highway. If you've noticed, they're replacing that bridge across the street from the old movie theater. There's a wooden bridge there. Wooden bridge is gone. We're going to concrete and This is gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be really good. So we're here tonight to get approval to make this expenditure, or get approval for this expenditure to get Italia Construction to replace this safety car.
Okay, any questions from board members?
I have one comment.
Sure, comment, trustee Ritchie.
Just to talk about, there's no bid in here because you don't talk about a competitive bid because the bid we already had a bid from Italia that is a multi-year bid, right?
That's correct. I'm sorry if I'm used to this. We have a competitively bid contract with Italia Construction. It was competitively bid. It was for a 3-year bid, and they held their pricing, and I shall be back possibly the end of this month. They've already reached out and said they'll extend it. There are some little tweaks to it, but we're digesting that right now. They would really like to extend the contract for another 3 years with us. They've been fantastic, and quite frankly, their pricing has been really, really good. Coming in under budget and on budget, and also that the quotes we get for these jobs, it's like, wow, that's a really good number, so. But yes, it's a competitively bid contract that we have with them right now, and that's why with our procurement policy, we forego the bidding process.
Okay, any other questions from board members? No.
Ready?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
move to accept a proposal for professional services associated with the removal and replacement of asphalt safety path on Sashabaw Road from Maybe Road to Pelton Road as submitted by Italia Construction of Washington Township, Michigan, in the amount not to exceed $150,000.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much. I was remiss in one
Sure.
thing. I did want to make the board members are aware that if you look at, everybody knows where that project's at. It crosses a lot of driveways. We notified everybody of the project, so we let everybody give them a heads up. We sent a letter out to everybody, so they know it's coming. So
Do you know when they're starting?
I'm gonna guess they're gonna probably start in the next 2 weeks.
Great. All right.
They're gonna be all over it. So they're already in town, like I said, doing the bridge there, and they're just gonna kind of segue right into this one here, so. Thank you.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you. Next is about of HR. We have, as you know, new HR director. She's requesting to attend to a conference that will be very helpful for her for 4 days in Chicago. And it's basically to cover the expenses for her training, and she's doing a great job. I can tell you she's very outgoing, very helpful to my office, and then I believe that when she asked me about this, I said that that's something that's going to be beneficial for her and beneficial for the township. Right, there is a breakdown, and Rick or budget analyst already look at it. It looks fine to me. It's basically a conference. That's all I presented.
She here?
No, she's not here. She has some commitment for today, actually, with the family, so I presented that on behalf of her. Yes, Paul.
I will just comment that I think she's doing a great job. I think, was it her first week here? She started walking around with the big box and giving out things to every employee. And we're like, what are you doing? She said, it's Employee Appreciation Week. And she went and put these little packets together at her own expense and handed them out. And I just really thought that really said something about the kind of person she is and the kind of person she wants to be to help the township and help the employees. So that was pretty cool, and I certainly support her getting this training. It's fairly normal for people in HR to go to these conferences every year, so.
Where
Okay.
did we get her
Carrie?
from? Where did she come from?
One second, Carrie.
I was just gonna comment too, that I do think she's doing a great job, and the township as a whole, for the most part, does encourage continuing education for our employees. That is a big thing, and I think it's great that it's something that she wants to stay fresh on right out the gate, and I'm happy
That's
that
good.
we can provide this for her, so. That's all I have.
Thank you. Sam?
This is the first time hearing that we hired her. I just wondered where she, where her background is, or where she came from, or any of that
I
stuff, since
will-
she's not here.
I will make a note, but I will send it to you. It's no problem.
Could you send it to all of us?
Sure.
You don't remember?
No, she came from the city of Troy, but I mean, I will send you the background and yours.
Okay.
Yes.
But not municipal.
Troy is a city,
City of Troy.
city of Troy.
Oh, she was.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay. So you want, okay, hold in for. Okay, somebody would like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the out-of-state travel for Melissa Whiting, Human Resources Manager, to attend the SHRM 24 conference held in Chicago, Illinois, from June 23rd through 26th of 2024.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And lastly, I requesting to approve the budget amendment for labor. So originally, we budget for HR legal labor was set for 10,000. Going off the budget from previous, no union contracts years, I mean, that's what we saw, and then with unfortunate transition between HR managers and some other issues, basically we went, over, and then now I asked him to put an amendment for $45,000. That's gonna help us. We having something happened between departments, having some issues that I wasn't predicted. I was trying to be very conservative in the beginning, but things happen. I couldn't predict the future. Some of the decisions I made, I didn't hesitate to make those hard and tough decisions, and Carrie and Paul were aware about that, and then it wasn't necessary to do that, and sometimes, I have to use our labor attorney for some of those issues. So I asking you to support me just to do this budget amendment, and that's all. Paul?
I've always believed that you want to be conservative when you're dealing with employee issues, and I'd rather you call the labor attorney too much than not enough. Especially when, you're in your first term and there's things you may or may not know, and so, yeah, I have no problem with the idea that you can't predict how often you're gonna need to make that phone call. There's 100 employees here, and you wanna do the conservative thing, and that's making that call and make sure you get it right. So, I don't have any problem with that.
Thank you. All right. Ron?
I guess my only problem with it is I understand the situation, and we've talked about it in the past, but to me, when you're making this budget amendment, and to wait to where you have to increase it by almost 5 times the budget, it seems like you're a little behind the curve on that, so.
Okay.
You should have made this call much sooner, so.
Sure, Ron, I agree. I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, hopefully we don't spend any more money and we're fine, but I just wanna be proactive than reactive, so that's why I get a little bit over.
Well, being proactive is looking at your expenses and knowing where you're at, so.
I increase a little bit more just in case, basically. I don't know, maybe we don't need it anymore. We just pay this and we're done, but I don't know at this point. Carrie and Paul, I mean, I'm working with them, sometimes things happen, but I hope for the best right now.
Well, I think I'll chime in on Ron's point.
Sure.
You're aware that you need to have a budget amendment before you spend the money, right?
Sometimes, I mean, things happen.
Sometimes, or is that the policy? Because
All right.
you knew in January that you used the whole year's budget up in the first month, so if I didn't bring it up at the last meeting, I don't feel confident that this would be coming to, we kind of forced it to happen tonight so that our attorneys could get paid. So I kind of would like to know why you waited 4 months before you asked for it.
Sam, we were working on it before even you bring that up. I want to have some better understanding where we are in expenses, because things come up lately. Some things they happen, and I don't want to go. I cannot talk about the name of the employees. I cannot talk what the issues right now, because we know that. But
What I'm saying is that you're the supervisor.
Yes, I am.
You don't know after you spent the whole year's budget after January that you need to come for a budget amendment in February? That's what I don't understand. You're not working, I'm not buying the story, we were working through it. That makes no sense. You knew that you spent all the money for the year, and you didn't go for a budget amendment, and then you got called out for it, and now you're going for a budget amendment. And I don't think you're asking for enough money, because we've already blown through $33,000 and it's May. I don't know what problems you were dealing with besides mine with you, which still hasn't been resolved, so that's certainly not going away. And I've just got concerns that, you know, now we finally have an HR person, so that's gonna solve some of the problem, but an HR person doesn't replace management experience. I think that you could have eliminated a lot of this had you had management experience and acted on the issues that were brought to you last fall and have dragged on for 8 months and still nothing's been done, and we're just keep paying and paying and paying to keep this issue alive. And I think that, you know, my concern is that, it's not personal, but you don't come from a management background and you're the head of personnel. So what are you doing to gain the necessary training to be the head of personnel? So that we're not paying lawyers to make decisions for us, and we're not, you're supposed to be making the decisions, but, I mean, lawyers are writing emails, lawyers are talking to me, lawyers are guiding us, but anyone who had a lifetime of management experience, who would be the CEO of a company of this size, wouldn't need all of those resources. Now, I understand you have no management training, but what I want to make sure is that we're not paying them to do it for you. I'm asking you, what are you doing to gain the necessary experience moving forward?
Thank you, Sam. First of all, Sam, some of these expenditures didn't come from me. It came from other departments. It comes on attacks from board members to employees on Facebook or social media, whatever. Then I couldn't predict. I wasn't expecting some people attacking employees on Facebook, naming the people's name and all that. I wasn't expecting to do that. I never attacked even any other board members of
That's
people
irrelevant
here.
to
Excuse me,
this
can I
discussion.
finish that? I let you speak.
Okay, go
And
ahead.
I want you to have the same courtesy for me to, you ask me a question, I reply in the question to you. And it's relevant because when some of the board members here, goes to social media and talk about the employees' performance and put their name there, there's a problem for us. And then when the employee can with a concern to the board and says, hey, why this board member is putting my name there?
That's me.
Excuse me, but can
I
I
just want to make
finish?
sure everybody knows it's me you're talking about.
Let me finish. I mean,
Okay, well, don't
I-
sugarcoat it. Be
No.
honest. It's me. Just get it out there.
All right.
Okay, I'm not embarrassed about
Sure.
it.
So, as much experience you want me to get right now, it's nothing I can do when you go and attack employees. Employees have a concern. Some employees even look for legal advice outside the township because they really well. I cannot keep talking about this because I have to be
I'm
careful
just
about
saying,
this.
if you
But I'm
had
gonna
any
finish, let me
experience, we
finish.
wouldn't be in this
That we-
position. That's all.
We implement some policies there. For instance, we put some training for harassment for the employees that it wasn't implemented before to give a better understanding of employees' work environment. And we did, recently, we had some issues between some employees. And like Paul says, I have to get some of the attorneys because I want their opinion before we do. When some board member or somebody requests, hey, fire somebody or whatever it is, I have to go to legal to protect the township. I cannot just go and make a crazy decision without have a better understanding and protecting the township. Sometimes it can be more expensive if I not got legal opinion, if I do the wrong call, and then we end up with a lot of mess, what happened before. That's why sometimes that happens, but it's not all me. It comes from different departments, it comes from different offices and everything.
Okay.
Sure, but thank you, Sam,
So
for
can you just
clarifying.
answer
Can
the
I-
question, what are you doing to learn how to manage the township? So that
Sam.
in the future, we don't have to pay people to tell you how to make this management decisions. That's all I'm asking. Are you doing anything to gain the necessary training you need to do your job?
That's why you're saying, Sam, I don't know why you're saying that every day when sitting with directors and managers.
That doesn't teach us to be
Yes,
a
it is.
manager, Jose. It
No,
takes
I
people
don't
a
know.
lifetime to be
What
a
you doing,
manager.
son, to teach yourself to be respectful to board members and to employees? I don't know what you're doing to be more respectful to people. You are creating all these problems, and then you come to me and deflect the facts and try to attack me when I didn't create all these problems.
My job
Part of the
is-
problems is coming because of you going to social media. I work with
Part
all
of-
of them. Can I finish? You asked a question. I work with every board member here And the board members here, I never attack them on social media. They never attack me on social media
Why
and
do you keep
attacking each
bringing
other
up social media?
because it is part of this expenditure that we have to pay. And secondly, Sam, the only reason you bring that up all this is because you want me to be your puppet. I am not your puppet. That's why you tried to attack me tonight. You have been texting me and told me, if I not do what you want me to do, you're gonna attack me. And that's why you attacked me tonight.
I'm
That's
not
all I'm saying.
attacking you, I'm calling you out for
No,
not
you're not
knowing
calling me
what
out
you're
because I have
doing.
the text
There's a
message.
big difference.
All right.
I guess,
Sure, Ron. Sorry.
what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the HR department, I'm talking about the budget. The budget, we're over budget multiple months. We have a budget analyst that should, he makes budget adjustments all the time. I guess my heartache is that if we were over budget after the first month, we should have been addressing this in February or March, not May or June. So,
Mhm.
so I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that we need to watch our budgets. If we're going over budget on something, we need to bring that on the agenda and discuss it and talk about it, not wait until we're 4 or 5 months past due and then try to make up with, some
Sure.
big leap of money.
Sure, true. I hope I
It doesn't
can.
have anything to do with HR or anything
Sure,
else. It has to do with
good.
the budgeting process and what we're doing. And like I
Good.
say, if Rick Yeager and all the other people are not alerting you to, that you're over budget, then that's not good either. So.
For instance, I asking for 45,000 right now. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if some board members gonna continue attacking employees. I don't know. I hopefully know. Hopefully this is stopped today.
Probably.
And this, I don't know, but
I'm
no,
just
I
bringing
take
this up,
into-
I'm not talking about
Good.
HR, I'm talking about the budget. I'm just saying,
Sure.
if there's other things coming up that you're gonna go over budget on, we need to talk about it before you go over budget, not
Okay.
after you go over budget. So-
All right, thank you, Ron. All right, we're good. I
Well,
would like to make a motion for, don't you wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 budget amendment number 19 as presented.
In a second?
A second.
Okay.
discussion,
All those in favor? That's
discussion.
already make the motion.
Yeah, now's when you have a discussion.
No, we don't have, we
Yes.
already have a motion. Before when we didn't make a motion, we already
Dan-
voted. Yeah, we
Dan.
already-
After the motion and second, and you have discussion, right,
We-
before the vote?
You can unless somebody calls for the vote.
Well, I called for a vote. I mean, we already called for a vote. That's why we make a
Whatever.
motion in second. Okay. Right,
Whatever.
all right.
I'll
All those in
vote for
favor?
it to get Dan paid.
He's already said all those in favor, he's already said that.
Yeah, before, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Where the rule is.
The motion has made and second, and I already called for a
so
vote.
Robert's rules would say that after a motion is made, a board member can speak as to the motion.
Okay,
A motion was made, board member wants to speak. In order to avoid a board member speaking, you have a separate vote on calling the question. And if you have a affirmative vote on calling the question, then you go right into the next vote, which is to approve the motion. So if you want to call the question, right now, you either call the question or you let the board member speak.
I will have you put this to speak some.
Okay, well, I just wanna clear up some stuff, because you're making it about some sort of personal vendetta against another vendetta, saying that but no, I spent a lifetime in management. You have done none of it, and have spent no time in management. All I'm saying is, the things that I've brought up, the employee that I've called out has been negligent.
Okay, we cannot talk
Time
about.
out. You
okay,
cannot
okay,
do
okay.
that at this meeting. Do not speak, well, I'll shut the meeting down. You can't do this at this table and talk about employees. It's improper, and I'm not gonna sit here and listen to it.
I didn't mention the person's name, I just.
I don't care. They know who you're talking about. Stop doing it. It's not right. Employees have rights. It's illegal. Okay, they have rights. They got rights. I'd like to ask Dan to come up and explain that again.
I don't need to. understand.
Employees have rights. You cannot ignore those. I don't care who the employee is.
Right, so we've been over this before, and so it's the identification of the employee, not just the name. So if people, by the way of this discussion, can identify the employee, you should stay away from those. And quite frankly, the discussion at this point with regard to the motion should be questions funneled through the supervisor and/or comments with regard to the motion. So,
Thank you. Okay, motion have been made and a second, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Communication and future agenda items reports. One, fiscal 2024, actual budget comments. Communications, Oakland County Health Divisions, Starbucks, Berry, 6320 Sashaba Road. 3, minutes, audit advisory committee, December 2023. 4, minutes, safety path advisory committee, January 2024. 5, minutes, safety path advisory committee, February 2024. Board member comments. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Second.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
You just think
Thank you.
Starbucks? Oh, Path of Union wasn't all that. It's like